Hello, everyone. So thank you for joining to this webinar. We have a lot of great stuff to show. My name is Michel. I'm the VP of Product at Preview 3D, and I'm joined with my colleague Philippe, who's our product manager. And we have some great stuff to show you today. Again, any of our webinars, if you've been here before, these are meant to be interactive. We want you to ask questions away. Ask even the hard questions. We're very candid about stuff, and we like to listen to feedback, and so we can do that. Special mention to some of our competitors that have signed up in mass into this webinar. So thank you for joining us. I guess that what we're doing is interesting to you guys as well, but we'll definitely focus on our customers as much as we can, of course, because this is exciting stuff. Great. So Phil, how's your audio? Is all working fine? Can you?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, some exciting stuff to show today.
Yeah, we've been very busy for the past several months, and what's really cool, like like when with your kids, when you have like the advent calendar for Christmas, like every day there's a bit of a candy that you open up. Well, you can think of this as one of many surprises we'll have every month for the next several months. We have a lot of things we're building to the product. We're doing a lot of transformation to the products, or the way we're doing our business, and it's exciting. And the feedback we've been getting so far is very, it's amazing. So hopefully we can capture that today as well. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a part of our product that used to be the web part of our Preview 3D solution, now called RealityPlatform. So why are we changing the name? Well, we got a lot of feedbacks from customers that they were like, looking for a better place to manage their point cloud data. Of course, we're known for our 3D meshes and our design engineering tools, but we're getting more and more people saying, hey, you know what, we don't like the tool we use right now to manage our point cloud. Why don't we just support point cloud, the hosting and viewing and all that stuff, so we can just use Preview 3D instead of using these other tools that we don't find as innovative or as powerful as yours. And we say, yeah, well, let's look into that. And we decided to really revamp the platform, hence the name RealityPlatform, to become this centralized place for all your reality capture data. And what's interesting, and there's a bit of a surprise at the end of the webinar that we'll start showing some of the ramification of this, but really we want to become this central place where, of course, we want to help our customers, but we want to create a larger ecosystem. And so that's definitely something that I'm personally very proud of. I'm always very fond of creating ecosystems. So some of you might know, but I'm one of the co-creators of the FBX file format that's widely used in a lot of industries. That's something that I created with my first company 25 years ago. And we're sort of taking a bit of that page here in how we want to deal with reality capture. More on that as we do this webinar and other webinars, but just that's a bit of a sneak peek on something we're working on. So having said that, I guess nothing better than having some visuals. So Phil, are you ready to share your screen?
Yeah, sure.
And
there we go.
Yeah. So a lot of revamp we've done. So obviously from the UI, you'll see a lot of changes in what we're doing, but there's a massive amount of work we've done in the back end. And really this is going to be the next placeholder for us on our next gen digital twin solution, right? So we're building a lot of stuff. Again, I'm not going to give you all the surprises today, but really this is a whole new foundation that we've rebuilt from the ground up over the past several months. So the team did an amazing job in a very short time frame to create something that has all the foundational aspect that we want in where we're going. And so this is the first of many. And again, like I said before, think of this as the advent calendar. So this is the first day, the first piece of candy you're opening up in your calendar. And every month we'll have more and more cool stuff to show you. So one first thing you might notice is that we've added this notion of sites. Before you had an environment where you had the projects and your meshes, but now you have really this ability to have all your sites managed. And also, as Phil is showing, we can even create divisions or groups or sub-organizations. So really a lot of more control in how you can organize your different facilities, your different locations, and really handle that in a whole new way. And again, the interface has been designed to be extremely visual. Another big change is, like I said before, now with supporting point cloud hosting, you can actually go in any of these sites, and when you have, let's see if we go to one of these, anyone like this one, for example, right? Here, you see have the point cloud file, but if I go to another project, you can see that we have other type of elements like meshes and design projects. So we're going to start exposing more of this underlying data sets that are created when using Preview 3D for different use cases. And so that gives a lot more control to your companies and your employees, but also makes it a lot easier to share any information. So here, for example, if I want to share a point cloud or a mesh or a design project, it becomes a lot easier to do this kind of sharing. So here, and one thing,
I think one thing that is powerful is that every components can be shared. So it can be like either an element like the point cloud can be shared, but also like if you go back at the site, you can also share the sites, and you can also share the divisions. So every components can be shared and give access to what's it content. So it's really powerful. And the fact that we have now divisions, it's super flexible for larger organization as well, because they can split their kind of subscription into different components, and make sure like people not necessarily see each other's as well. So the fact that you have the divisions like restrain the users within that division. So it's super
exactly smart. Yeah, and so we've done a lot of improvements in that field around advanced user permissions. I don't know if you want to show that. Like basically now you can have a lot more controls and be able to create new groups and other things like that. And really, again, it's back like we're selling to a lot of big companies, and so giving them a lot more controls on how they're managing their projects, their sites, the permissions, and everything else is really fundamental to what we've been changing to this application. So far, I haven't seen any questions from the audience. Hey, feel free to ask any questions as we go. This definitely is meant to be something where you can ask questions. Heck, even if the competitors want to ask questions, we'll answer them as well. And so definitely more than happy to answer anything you have. I guess maybe want to show maybe one of those point clouds, since this is one of the newest features.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I will grab this one because it's one of the BIM stream, one of our partner.
Yeah.
So I will just jump inside that point cloud. So now we, like you mentioned, we have our own point cloud viewer built inside the application. We preserve the 360 pictures for your scanners. So like you can navigate between pictures quite smoothly. And we also have the point cloud viewer where you can like navigate around and just start loading the scenes like this.
Yeah, one thing that we've done that is important is that we worked a lot to, historically we had our meshes that had this dynamic level of detail system, and we built something similar for point clouds and other type of elements. And there's more interesting features coming in the next few months around that, but really it's how to make this efficient and optimal. This is very quick and efficient. We've tested this on different type of situation, and it's very streamlined, and the quality, the visual is really quite good to really assess the point cloud information.
Yeah, exactly. On the left side panel, you will see all the stations that were captured. So if you have like terrestrial scanners with multiple scans, you will see all of them over here. You can hide or show them. You can also see if it contains multiple stations, you will see them there. Down the road, being able to click and teleport towards one of the pictures, it will give you like a full overview of your scan data pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And so one thing that is nice in here is that we wanted to make this experience as seamless as possible. And we'll talk about later on in this webinar about how we can service this data in different use cases. Of course, we are supporting, different exports. You can export like RCS files, or in the case of meshes, export OGC 3D tiles. But there's other things that we'll show you later in this webinar that drives new workflows that we're seeing will be really transformative for companies. Any questions? Like, this is a very quiet audience. I like people to come in and ask away some questions. Don't be shy. There's no bad question. Just hard answers sometimes.
One
Okay,
question that
so
people may have is what's the maximum size that you can ingest in there? And the answer to that is the system is built to be super scalable because we have our own tiling system.
yeah,
So like we have tested this with like terabytes of point clouds, and it still works smoothly, like our 3D meshes as well. So
exactly. So that's it's one thing to load like small point clouds, but loading complex, heavy, gigabytes, hundreds of gigabytes of data is a whole different thing. And we've really built this to be efficient on that. Maybe we jump into another few more point clouds. I think maybe the glycol one is one that is always nice to look into. That's a good example here. I think it's a 70 gig point cloud, and it doesn't take only a few seconds to load the initial view. So it's very quick on any type of computer. So a few more seconds here. It's a
yeah,
bigger data set. So it's a good test as well to see that it's take a few
and
seconds, but not too bad.
and actually, this point cloud, the SGC glycal was not processed with the optimal parameters yet, so
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
true.
not
Yeah,
even open with the last update we did. So it's a legacy testing project that we used.
yeah. My bad. It's part of my
Yeah,
testing on the beta testing before the release that I
yeah, I don't think
process
this
some
one
data.
will.
Oh, okay, no worries.
Uh,
One key here also is that we also have our other product reality plan, and recently we've launched these what we call reality assets and how to define spatially assets. And so what's nice here is like if you go to a specific site and you have a point cloud, it's going to be very easy for someone to create a design project. So if you go here and you click on the point cloud and you click like create design project, then we're going to create a mesh out of this environment and allows you to then leverage our meshing environment for doing design layout or other type of application. Again, this is just loading a few seconds here, almost done. There you go. And then you're able to select which area that you're going to be converting. One big change also is like we used to have a pricing model that you had a one-time fee of processing to convert to meshes. And with this new model, we've converted everything into a gigabyte model. And you have basically, as part of the subscription, you've got a lot of hosting and processing bundled into your package. And that makes it a lot easier to scale and do more processing with our system and don't have to come back to us every time to pay for more processing fees. So it's a lot more convenient that way. And the pricing has gone down as well. So basically now you're able to host and process over 50 gigs of point cloud and meshes for like $400 a year. So really a simple model that scales a lot. Here a comment. Yeah, thank you, Megan. It's great. Yeah, thanks so much. And Iman, I want to know about the app that you import 3D meshes on it. Absolutely, we can definitely show reality plan. So maybe we'll start with the web part of it. Like, let's go to the mechanical room in the design project here. And here now we're moving into a meshed environment. So it's not longer showing the point cloud, but basically we've converted the point cloud into this high quality mesh, which are typically all the way up to 95% more compressed than if you had a similar, let's say, terrestrial scanner. So if you have 100 gig point cloud scan, it's going to become a 5 to 10 gig mesh environment. And of course, with a mesh, you don't have all these little points. It looks a lot better, and you can really do really interesting things. In our case, what we've done, and that's part of our history, is that we have a lot of advanced tools for doing engineering work. So if you want to say cut out equipment and do new design layouts and so on. And what we've recently released is the ability to define spatially assets into the space, which makes it very interesting for some of the integrations that we're working on. Maybe you want to switch quickly to the desktop version just to show how we can create an asset, which will be a good. So we also have this desktop version for more of the advanced engineering work. Here, I think in this one, you already have the assets created in this one, or
yeah, I do have some
yeah,
assets over here
yeah,
created where I can select them and consume the metadata that was attached to those assets. But I can also create new assets, which are asset definition tool, where you can like quickly define a box like this. And we also support multiple box as well. So if you have like complex object, it still work. So you can like define objects pretty easily like this, and just generate the assets. And afterward, when you select them, they become well. Actually, I do have some existing assets over here, but you can select that assets.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really key because, in manufacturing specifically, assets are complex in shape. I know that you have one of those assets, which is the piping system here, right? So you can select this here. And that's a great example where we see a lot of customers that want to isolate specific equipment. Maybe they want to do some asset inspection planning, or they're looking to just document the site, or they need to bring this data into their CAD software like Revit in order to be able to let's say, do a reverse engineering project or modify some CAD elements that are not up to date per the latest as-built conditions. And so again, that's part of some of our workflows where we're making it very seamless between these different elements. And with this new platform we're releasing, these assets will become, and very soon, searchable within the environment. So you're able to search assets across multiple sites. So if you have like different pipes and pumps that when you reuse or just reuse the assets for a design purpose, you're able to do that as well. So a lot of flexibility that's coming to the platform that is really opening up a lot more user workflows and possibilities.
Yeah, and I think one of the great thing is now that we call this reality platform, the goal is really to centralize even the things that you create on the desktop application, to be able to bring them back to the web and collaborate with all the stakeholders involved. So it's like Michel mentioned earlier, we are now a platform, not only a tool. So I think that's a big shift on our side.
Exactly. It's and that's a lot of the underlying this nice little UI that you've seen on the Reality platform is really how to build something that is not only scalable but also dealing with the complexities of a full digital twin from a visual perspective, because digital twins change all the time. How do you keep them up to date? How do you maintain the information? How do you make sure that you have the single version of the truth? And so there's a lot of things that are coming into our system that will make that very easy and obvious for customers to exploit those capabilities. And this was the first step in having this first major release of the Reality platform per se.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to mention and point out over here with the notion of divisions now that we have. So like a lot of our customers have like region divisions or project divisions. It really depends. Some people will decide to have divisions based on the area or based on the project they are producing. But also it can be leveraged for EPCs customers that we have, because like now you can have a division per customer, and you know that your divisions won't see each other's. So it's a good way for EPCs to trust and like put their data over here and keep them separated one to another.
Absolutely. Actually, one thing we could show, Phil, is the usage dashboard, right? Because one thing that we've been getting a lot of requests is people like, okay, I've got a lot of data, I've got terabytes of data, I want to understand where's what, right? So here, for example, we're able to see as a high-level summary, okay, how much storage am I consuming, how much processing that I've done, and how much data I've streamed as part of my subscription package. But really is understanding, okay, well, I have all these projects. How do I understand which projects are consuming how much data or storage or processing? So a lot more, details on the reporting on usage consumption with different options on our subscription packaging. And that's, again, requests for customers to better understand that, see by divisions and other things like that, to really, again, helping the customers at the enterprise level to better grasp all the data they're managing. So, simple things that, they look very nice and beautiful like this, but a lot of complexity behind to make sure that we provide the right type of reporting on data usage for our customers. As you were moving the cursor around the Reality platform and Reality plan, two other changes we're doing. So for Reality platform, there's actually no cost on a per user basis. So you basically pay your hosting subscription that includes streaming capacity. and you can have as many users on RealityPlatform. So there's no limit on the number of users you want to have. So that's really one key part. And for Reality Plan, we still have this on a per user license perspective, but now we have just released a fully floating license system. So before you had to manually manage the licenses to assign and unassign licenses, which kind of work for smaller projects, but as we were scaling bigger organization, became more and more a challenge. And now it's a full floating system. So you just connect if you have the permissions to use a Reality Plan, you just log in, start using the product, and it works like magic. So it's very transparent and very seamless for our customers. So a lot of these details that are putting into the system that helps grow and build for scale in both how much data we can manage, how efficient we make this for our customers, but also making it easy for customers to deploy and expand the usage of our product.
Is there any questions?
Yeah, people are pretty shy today. I usually expect a lot more questions, but hey, I guess people are just like floored and they don't know what to say. I think we have one extra surprise for today that wasn't announced, but I think it's cool to have these surprises. So we've talked about how we want this to become the centralized repo for all your reality capture data, and of course, in different processes, you need to access, your point cloud, or you want to access our meshes or our new reality assets. And traditionally, you would have to, export a file and then download that and upload into your other software, and then that would be very cumbersome and heavy. And we know that a lot of products like Revit and others, they're not that great in handling large amount of point clouds or meshes. They're getting better, but it's still very painful. And so we really wanted to create something that is a lot more seamless between the RealityPlatform and Revit. So coming very soon, we have a product called Reality Connect for Revit, which is basically a plugin that will run inside of Revit that will connect to our solution and allow you to have a much more streamlined process of handling point cloud meshes and even get to our reality assets. Phil, by any chance, do you have that on your computer? Jeez.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, I will just share my screen over here. Good.
So the key here we wanted to do something really simple and powerful. And if you've anybody has dealt with loading point cloud into Revit, it's first it's very heavy. And yes, you can do clipping areas, but then you're stuck in a massive blob of information. So one of our focus is really how to deal with multiple level of details for both point cloud and meshes. So the plugin, basically here, let's start with working with some point cloud, and we can do the same thing for meshes. But basically, you're able to load a first low resolution version of this point cloud. So how quickly can you just load up a reference of your point cloud? Or if he's loud, okay, yeah, to connect. Yeah, sorry about that.
I think I'm disconnected.
It's a live presentation. Things happen. And so the idea is like you can launch first a very light version of the point cloud. So you don't have to wait minutes to load a very heavy point cloud and then, have to move around and figure out what's going on. So quickly loading up a first reference in low res. And then you can select different clipping areas and say, okay, I want this area in a more dense point cloud, or I want this other area in a denser point cloud version, and really control how you're going to be working into this environment.
Okay, no, it's working.
Excellent.
Very established.
And Iman here has a question. I'm curious about how many people working on the project like this. I'm guessing the question is like how many people can work on a project like this? Like right now, like if you have multiple people in Revit, if you have the licenses, you can have multiple people running in Revit using our solution. So that should not be an issue. Not sure about the timing question per se. Maybe you can extrapolate your question, then I can help me better answer you. Okay.
If I understand, well, it really depends on the projects. It really depends. Like some people will store their point clouds in their data like the reality capture data forever on their platform, and that's kind of the goal, to centralize everything in one place. But some projects may extend for like 2 years, 1 year, 3 months. It really depends on the type of projects.
Yeah. Okay, we're back here. So here we're going to start very quickly with a low-res version of the point cloud. But so in a few seconds, boom, we're going to have a low-res version of this point cloud. But already you can navigate a lot more quickly because it's a lightweight version. But then we can decide, okay, there's one specific area that we want to have a higher density. So we do basically various degrees of resampling capabilities on the point cloud, so you can have full control on how dense this point cloud is, and so give you a lot more control on the details depending on the type of work you're doing in Revit. So here we're going to create a higher density section on this specific element. And so basically,
we just use kind of the section box from Revit, and then we can crop the area that we would like a higher resolution. So it's quite efficient. So typically people will load the full site to get an overview and just pick the area that they would like with a higher resolution. So this way Revits remain efficient on the user side.
Exactly. And so here we're loading a much more higher density piece of it, so it takes the time just to transfer the data between our solution and Revit. But at least now you have control that you don't have to wait for the whole point cloud to load at this certain density. You can control which area you want to have in higher density. And what's really nice, like I said before, is that you can have multiple pieces of your point cloud now being built at different resolutions. So here we have a much denser part of the point cloud. If we bring back the rest of the model, you can see here that the rest of the point cloud is still accessible, but in a much lower resolution. And here, this specific area is much denser. And so depending what you're trying to do, let's say I want to redesign or I want to create a reverse engineer project here to remodel those assets that are within that specific part of the scan, then I can really increase the density. And we can do the same thing with our meshes, right? So that's definitely the nice thing about our solution is like now it supports point cloud and meshes, right? So you're not just linking point cloud, but you're also linking your meshes. But more than that, because there's always more extra, is that so we just showed you these asset definitions that we had into RealityPlan. And so how do we bring, let's say that I want to do a reverse engineer or remodel the piping that I had on my environment. So if you want to bring this piping into Revit, it's going to be very painful to select the required piping information. Here you're selecting a pump. Yeah. But then we should do the piping. Yeah, we should do the piping. Yeah, exactly. Then we should do the piping because it's a good example where it's when you have complex shape and you want to bring like this complex system of piping into Revit as a point cloud or as a mesh, it's going to be very difficult to create the right clipping area, especially if the assets are in odd shapes. So all the assets, the reality assets you've created in RealityPlan can now be imported. So for example, here I'm basically selecting that one pump and say, let's bring this into a high resolution mesh. And automatically, this pump will become visible into Revit. So you can even now select assets at the asset level, the components you want to bring into Revit without having to do a file export in whatever file format and bringing in and dealing with whatever other issues. This is very seamless. Can you bring also the bronze piping as well into the environment?
Yeah, the rest of the point cloud?
Or just the bronze piping system, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
Because it's a good example where bringing this typically would be very painful. And here we're going to bring in this mesh environment, and it's a complex system, right? So it's not just like a simple rectangle selection. This is a complex. So
it's this one over here. Yeah, exactly. It's this the line that I was showing earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty complex, right? So if you want to remodel this, like you would have otherwise to bring in all the point cloud around it and so on. Really, what you want is to bring in just that one specific asset. Are we still in the small bug on the running this live or?
I think it's fine. It's just
it's fine.
maybe the progress bar is not as
It's my bad. Like, yeah, it's my bad. Like I decided like last minute to show this as a surprise because we're not planning to show it just yet. But it just felt like it was a good timing. So we have the
I think it's
piping.
just inside the family for now. It's piping.
Okay.
Like I have it over here.
Exactly. So now we're just importing this piping, and now if I want to do a CAD model out of this, I only have to deal with that portion of the mesh or the point cloud instead of dealing with the whole overall point cloud. So you have a lot of control in selecting the clipping area in point cloud or mesh or reality assets, and really pick and choose what is needed for your engineering project right inside of Revit. So we feel that. So far, the feedback we've been getting for customers is very positive on this, and so and there's more of these things coming very soon in our plan, in our roadmap.
Yeah.
Any question from the audience? Yeah.
Typically, like those point cloud can be quite heavy, so like moving them from a computer to another can be quite painful. So now that we can like stream that data with our platform, it's much more efficient. You don't have to.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a really great point because if here it's very efficient. If you're even trying this in a traditional method and bring your CAD files and importing them in your Revit and doing a clipping area and all that stuff and having to play with different density resolutions for your meshes or point cloud to find the optimal area that will work in Revit, that would be so much harder than this. Like it would be insanely more amount of work just to get to the same point that we are here in just a few minutes. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what we wanted to show today. It's any last questions from the audience? Anyone? We're always interested to hear you guys. Everybody's eating lunch today and very quiet, I guess. One last minute, last chance. So, well, I guess that's pretty much it for today. Hopefully you liked what you saw. If you're too shy to ask questions live, feel free to contact us. We have different channels through LinkedIn. Also, you can go to our website. We just revamped our website today with all this new information, so check it out. And until next time, Phil, thanks for your time today. It's been great to show all this stuff that we've been working hard together over the past several months. Want to take one last second to really thank the whole team at Preview 3D. We've done incredible work over the past 6 months in building all of these features. It's pretty exciting to bring this to market. And if you want to know more about this, you want to do a POC with us, let us know. We like to work with our customers from the earliest stages of your process. There's one last question from Patrick. Yes, the assets once inserted into Revit will persist in the Revit project. Indeed. So there's a cache there, but we also have a sync mechanism. If you want to push back any CAD element you're going into your Revit, will be pushed back as well if you want them to be bring back into Preview 3D. So a lot of things like that to simplify the whole workflow. Thanks, Patrick, for that. One last question before we adjourn for today's webinar. So thank you, everyone, and looking forward to the next installment of a webinar about our latest features. Thank you.
Have a good day.